Okay, in lessons 21 and 22, there's a lot of review in it, but it also does incorporate some figures that are a little more in detail than ones we've done in the past. There is a formula for surface area right here, where surface area equals the lateral area plus 2 times the base, because when we're talking about prisms, our bases are exactly the same. So we have the reference, a lot of people call them top and bottom, but remember they don't always have to be top and bottom because you can turn it any different way you want. And so we have those, and then the lateral area. And the lateral area can be obtained by multiplying the perimeter of the base times the height of the prism. And so you might often see that someone shortening it up. The lateral area is the perimeter of the base times the height. And so the P is capitalized because it refers to the perimeter of the entire base. I'm going to do specific examples from both problem sets 21 and 22, and then the ones I don't do, you go back and do. So I'm not going to do the first 2 problems. I'm going to move on to ones that are a little more complicated. So go ahead and turn the page. Okay, so I'm going to work through problem 3, all 4 parts, A, B, C, and D, to give you a good idea of how to solve problems like this. So it says, find the surface area of each of the following bright prisms using the formula, surface area equals the lateral area plus 2 times the base. 2 times the area of the base. Okay, so when I look at this one, the first thing I have to understand, it is a triangular prism. That means the base is a triangle. So I need to look at the triangle itself. Okay, and so in doing that, I can use the triangle on the top or the bottom. It doesn't matter which one, but right here, identifying that that's the base. So the first thing that I need is the lateral area. And the lateral area is the perimeter of the base times the height. And so the perimeter of this particular one is 7.5 plus 10 plus 12.5. So the perimeter, 7.5 plus 10 plus 12.5. And so you're going to add those together, and when you do, you get 30. Okay, and so the lateral area is 30 times the height, and the height of this figure is 15. So 30 times 15 gives me 450. Now, the next thing I need is the area of the base. So that same triangle, the base, I need to find the area of it. And so the 2 sides that form the right angle, okay, are what I need. And so I need the 7.5 and the 10. So the area of the base, right here, is 1/2. This is a triangle, so I use a half, times 7.5 times 10. So I multiply those together. And when I do that, I get 37.5. Okay, and I've got 2 of those. So I am going to plug that into my formula now. And so surface area equals my lateral area, which is 450, plus 2 times the area of the base, 37.5. So I plug all that into my calculator, and the surface area of this figure is 525 millimeters squared. Hi, moving on to the next problem. So again, it is a triangular prism, and so the first thing I'm going to figure out is my lateral area, and so that is my perimeter times my height. So my lateral area, remember, is all the rectangles connecting my triangles together. So for it, its perimeter, so I look for my triangle here, doot, doot, doot. So it is 4 plus 6.5 plus 9. So I'm going to add all of those up. Oh, it was 9 and 3/25. Sorry, I just realized I forgot to write that whole number down there. So when I add all those up together, my calculator here. So 4 plus 6.5 plus 9 and 3/25. I get 19 and 31/50. So I come back over here and my lateral area equals my perimeter, which is 19 and 31/50 times my height, and the height of the whole thing is 5. So I take that and multiply it times 5. And I get 98 and 1/10. Now I need to find the area of the base. So in this triangle, whether I look at the one at the top or the bottom, my base is 9 and 3/25, and my height is the 2.5. So my area of one triangle, 1/2 times 9 and 3/25 times 2.5. And so when I multiply those together, 1/2 times 19 and 31/50 times 2.5 Nope, I just realized I said the wrong number. It's 1/2 times 9 and 3/25 times 2.5. I have the right ones written down, but I was plugging the wrong ones in my calculator. When I do that, I get 11 and 2/5. And so then I go to my formula up here, and my surface area equals my lateral area, which is 98 and 1/10, plus 2 times the area of the base, 11 and 2/5. And when I plug all of that into my calculator, I get 120 and 9/10 inches squared. All right, for problem C. In this one, I have a trapezoidal prism. So my base is a trapezoid. All right, so first thing we're going to do is find the lateral area, which remember is the perimeter of the base times the height. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is find the perimeter. And so on our perimeter, we have 1/8 plus 1/2 plus 1/8 plus 1/4 plus 1/2 plus 1/4. So those are the numbers we're using to find our perimeter. All right, and I'm writing it out so you can see what I'm getting, but I don't expect that you would write this out. I would expect that you just plug it in your calculator to find that perimeter. Okay, and so the lateral area equals that perimeter. Okay, and so when those all get added up, you get 1 3/4 times the height. Remember, the height is the distance between the two bases. So the height in this one is the 2. It's how far it is from this trapezoid to this trapezoid. And so when I multiply 1 3/4 times 2, I get 2.5 inches squared. Okay, now I need to find the area of the base. And so remembering how to find the area of a trapezoid. And so the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the sum of the bases. So across the bottom, 1/8 plus 1/2 plus 1/8 is 3/4 plus the base of the top, so up here. So I'm adding these two together right here, and that's 1/2. Okay, times the height, and the height of the trapezoids is 1/5. So you're going to plug that into your calculator. Okay, and so when you plug that into your calculator, the area of the base for one trapezoid is 1/8 of an inch squared. So then we go back to our formula for surface area, and it is our lateral area. So in this one, our lateral area was 3.5 plus 2 times the area of the base, and the area of the base was 1/8. So you can plug all of that into your calculator. So 3.5 plus 2 times 1/8, and you get 3 3/4 inches squared. Okay, let's look at part D on the next page. Okay, for problem D. So our base is a kite-shaped figure, and so to find first the perimeter of it, you're going to add up those 4 together. So you're going to use your calculator, add those up, and when you do that, you get that your perimeter, okay, so your perimeter, when you add up the 4 sides, 13 plus 13 plus 8 6/10 plus 8 6/10 is 43 2/10. So your lateral area equals 43 2/10 times the height, the distance between the two kites is 2 1/4. So you get 97 2/10 centimeters squared. Now for the kite, there's not a formula for the kite itself, so you have to do each triangle separately, and then after you find the area of each triangle, add them together. So I'm going to start with this triangle right here, and it has a base of 10 and a height of 7. So 1/2 times 10 times 7 equals 35. And then this one right here also has the base of 10, and its height, I have to take the 19 and subtract the 7 for this part, and so this one, the height is 12. So 1/2 times 10 times 12 is 60. And so when I combine those together, 35 plus 60 is 95 for the area of one base. Okay, so now for my surface area, it equals my lateral area plus 2 times area of one base, which is 95. So I plug all that into my calculator, and I get 287 2/10 centimeters squared. Okay, the next one that I'm going to do is number 6, and I'm going to show my work down here. It says the surface area of a right rectangular prism is 68 2/3 inches squared. The dimensions of its base are 3 inches and 7 inches. Use the formula surface area equals the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base, and the lateral area equals the perimeter of the base times the height to find the unknown height h of the prism. So my surface area equals the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base. So the surface area equals, remember, lateral area equals the perimeter of the base times the height plus 2 times the area of the base. Now, as I continue working through this, the perimeter, the base is a rectangle and it is 3 inches by 7. So 3 plus 7 plus 3 plus 7 is 20. So the perimeter is 20 times h. I don't know. That's what we're solving for. Plus 2 times the area of the base. If the base is a rectangle, then, and it is 3 by 7, then it is 21. So now, I also know that my surface area is 68 2/3. So 68 2/3 equals 20h plus 42. So here I'm solving a multi-step equation, so I'm going to subtract 42 from both sides. And when I do that, I have 26 2/3 equals 20 times h. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 20. And when I do that, I get 1 1/3. So the height of the prism is 1 1/3 inches. Okay. After the video finishes, go back and finish the problems that I did not do here. Okay. Number 1 says for each of the following, draw or describe the solid represented by the net and find its surface area. For A, it tells us they are equilateral triangles that are all exact copies of each other. So that means that I have 4 triangles that all are the same dimensions. So my surface area is 4 times the area of one of the triangles, which is 1/2 times 9 times 7 4/5. So you get your calculator and you plug that in, and you get your surface area equals 140 2/5 millimeters squared. We also need to state the name of the figure, and this would be a triangular pyramid. Okay, the one beside it, I can see that I have 4 triangles that are all the same size, and then the base is a square. So my area of my square is 144 because it's 12 by 12. And so for my surface area, I have my base plus 4 triangles, and each triangle is 1/2 times 12, which is the base of the triangle, times the height of 14 3/4 inches. So I'm going to plug all that into my calculator, and my surface area equals 498 inches squared. And then when I name the figure, this one is a square, that's the base, pyramid. Okay, we're going to jump down to problem 3, leaving you number 2 to do on your own. The first thing that it asks us to do on this one is to draw what the 3D figure would look like. And so by looking at this right here, I can see what my base would look like. and then making it three-dimensional, you'll see that it looks like a set of stairs. Okay. Now using our formula, surface area equals the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base. The lateral area is your perimeter times your height. So on this one, for my perimeter, across the bottom, it's 1.5. And I got 1/2 here, 1/2 here, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, and then 1 and 1/2. So when I add all of those up together, okay, I get a lateral area, or a perimeter, of the base of 6. And then the height of it, okay, the distance from one to the other, is 1/2. Okay, so my lateral area equals the perimeter times the height. So our perimeter was 6 times the height of 1/2, and so that equals 3. So that goes in right there. All right, now I have to find the area of the base. And so to do that, I'm going to chunk it up. And so I have this very small one here that 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. And then this one right here, 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. And then this one right here is 1 by 1, which is 1. Okay, so when I add up all those together, the area of my base, 1/4 plus 1 plus 1/4, is 1.5. So I have 2 times the area of my base, which is 1.5. So my surface area equals 3 plus 2 times the area of my base, which is 1.5. So the surface area of this figure is 6 centimeters squared. Okay, on number 6, it says find the surface area of the solid shown in the diagram. It is a right triangular prism with a right triangular basis with a smaller right triangular prism removed from it. So I'm going to start with just the very big one, and I'm going to pretend there's nothing missing from it. So its surface area equals the lateral area plus 2 times the area of the base. So the lateral area equals the perimeter times the height. So the perimeter of my triangle is 4 plus 4 plus 5 and 13/20. So that right there, 13 and 13/20 times the height, which is 2. Because remember, this is my perimeter of the base times the height, plus 2 times the area of my base. So 2 times the area of the base, my triangle is 4 by 4 for the right angle, so 1/2 times 4 times 4. So I'm going to plug all of that into my calculator. So 13 and 13/20 times 2 plus 2 times parenthesis 1/2 times 4 ending parenthesis equals, and I get 43 and 3/10. Okay, now remember that that 43 3/10 is the surface area before the chunk gets cut out. Now the first thing that I observe is that this triangle right here that would have been on the outside is actually going to still be there on that inside. So it wouldn't make any sense for me to take that off because it's being put back. But then I have to look at the rectangles here. So this rectangle right here comes off the top. And so for that particular rectangle, I have 1/4 times 4 19/20. And when I multiply those together, I get 1 19/80. So that is something that I'm going to be subtracting from the 43 3/10. So I will subtract off that 1 19/80. But then I also have two other rectangles here that get added in. And so for those particular rectangles, they are 3.5 by 1/4. So 3.5 times 1/4 gives me 7/8. And there are two of them that have the same measurements. So I take that times 2, and when I do that, I get 1 3/4. So I'm going to add that 1 3/4. So the red one gets taken off, but the blue ones get added in. And then for the triangle, remember that this particular triangle, even though this is coming off, it is replaced identically there, so I don't need to do anything for that. So I take all of that, 43 3/10 minus 1 19/80 plus 1 3/4, and I get 43 13/16 inches squared for that area. Okay, go ahead and work through these in your problem sets.